Hi there, it's me, Teacher Mike from phuketpals. Welcome back to another video. Now in this one we're going to talk about traits. We're going to talk about traits in relation to the GED RLA extended response. Now how many of you out there have the fear when it comes to the extended response? It's much more difficult in the new GED test than it used to be in the past. But I want to show you today, if you actually follow these main traits that are given to us by GED Testing Service, then you can massively raise your score. So the question is, what is a trait? Well, each trait represents a different area of marking for the test, a different area of writing that you have to show mastery within. There's trait 1, trait 2 and trait 3. Okay, trait 1 is all about creation of argument and use of evidence. Trait 2 is development of ideas and organizational structure, and trait 3 is clarity and command of standard English. We'll come to that in a minute, okay? First of all, how is this essay marked? Well, your essay will be marked by an AI bot. Okay, now many students step back and go, that's not fair, it'll make a mistake. Believe me, I've talked to the people who make this test in GED Testing Service, and they say the statistics are overwhelming. This AI very, very rarely makes any mistakes. But they also have a random selection of essays that are taken out and marked by a human as well, just to make sure that everything is okay with the technology, and it is, believe me. Now each essay is marked out of six points, and this is 2 points for trait 1, 2 points for trait 2, 2 points for trait 3. So it's vital, absolutely vital. If you want to do well in the extended response, you need to know what is expected of you in each of the trait areas. Okay, let's have a little look. Trait 1, creation of argument and use of evidence. Make logical claims that support your position. Okay, so as you all know, in the extended response you have two articles with a different opinion about a same topic. Okay, you have to read both of them, you have to analyze them to find out what evidence do both writers use to support their opinion. Then you have to decide which of the articles has the stronger evidence, which article is better supported. Then you have to state that in your introduction. In the final sentence, known as the thesis statement, you will say in the final sentence that Article A is much more strongly supported than Article B because blah 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 blah, whatever it is. Okay, that is your position. Okay, then you have to support that logically throughout the essay. That means in body 1, body 2, body 3, body 4, whatever, you have to support that position you have taken in the introduction. And you have to do it logically, it has to make sense. Next, you have to use 3 or more references from the text to support your answer. Okay, so you can't just say, I like text A, because you can't just pick things out of the air, out of the sky. They have to make logical sense, they have to be based on the evidence itself. And you have to show that you've read that article. Maybe you paraphrase the ideas, maybe you slightly summarize them a little bit, maybe you take a direct quotation and put, speech marks around it. Whatever you do, you have to do this at least 3 times to get this tick in the trait 1 box. Next, identify strong and weak evidence. Okay, so when you've read both of your articles, you will notice that both of them are supported by evidence. Okay, but which of them has the stronger evidence? Now, what does that mean, stronger evidence? Well, there's a number of factors you need to look out for. I'll do another video on strong and weak evidence later, actually. But just one example would be, let's say there is a scientist who is a study by a scientist from Oxford University, for example, is used to prove, the writer uses that to prove his point. Well, that evidence, using that to support his point would be a very strong piece of evidence, because, I would believe that scientist from Oxford University. He's got many years experience, he's an expert in his field, he's a professor, and he knows what he's talking about. Maybe in Article B, the writer, to support his argument, talks about his friend who owns a shop in the local town who says blah 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 blah. Well, obviously using his friend as supporting evidence is not as strong as using a professor from Oxford University. Okay, you can see the difference. So one piece of evidence is strong, as in the Oxford University professor. One is weak, as in the friend who owns the shop. And you would have to identify and be able to talk about this. Identify supported and unsupported claims. Okay, so maybe the writer of Article 1 states things but does not provide any evidence to support them. Maybe the writer of Article B states things and then provides like statistics and anecdotes and blah 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 to support his opinion. So you need to think, who is doing more to prove what they're saying here, and to prove it in a strong way, in a logical way. So that's trait 1. So if you get all of this stuff, you've got 2 points. Trait 2, development of ideas and organizational structure. So you need effective organizational structure in your essay. Okay, you need a clear introduction, a clear body, okay, maybe made up of at least 3 to 4 paragraphs, and then you need a conclusion at the end to round things off. Okay. Also, you need organizational structure within each paragraph. So for example, in the introduction, you need to have some background information, then becoming more specific, and then the thesis statement, which is your position that you will try and support. In the body, you need clear topic sentences, supporting ideas, and sentences to link back to your thesis statement. In the conclusion, you need to summarize the ideas in your body, and then state your position again, kind of restating your thesis statement from your introduction in your own words again in the conclusion. Also, you need logical progression of ideas. Okay, so don't start your essay with one of your supporting ideas and then have your thesis statement halfway down. Make sure it's logically organized and progresses, makes sense as it moves down. Next, it must link together. So each paragraph must link together, and then inside each paragraph as well must link together with words like firstly, secondly, or moreover, furthermore, things like this, in conclusion, etc. Diction is just a fancy way of saying word choice. So does the vocabulary that you use, does it suit, does it fit does it fit what you're talking about? Are you using words that are relevant to this topic, or does it seem a little bit strange, the language you're using? So you have to be careful that your diction is completely focused on the topic at hand. Register, which just means how formal or formality of writing, like informal, formal writing. I'm sure you've heard of that. Your register needs to be pretty formal here. This is an academic essay, so don't be using any slang, any street words, don't use idioms and things like this, okay? Keep it quite formal. So if you do all these things, you will get another 2 points. The last section, and I'll move over here for this so you can see it better. Trait 3 is about clarity and command of standard English. So you have to have a varied sentence structure. Okay, you can't just have little sentences, short sentence, short sentence. You can't do that. You can't just have really long sentences with no punctuation. You have to vary your sentence structure. You have to have simple sentences, compound sentences, complex sentences, compound complex sentences. You need to show to get the higher points, you need to show some flair with your writing, some variety. Use things like restrictive and non-restrictive relative clauses. Use appositives. There's just millions of things that you can use. But again, this will involve you digging into a writing textbook and figuring out these, becoming familiar with these complexities of writing if you're not already. And mix them up, okay? Mix them up. Think of your extended response as like a giant salad in a bowl. And you want to, if you throw in some lettuce, I'm talking about sentence structure. If you throw in some lettuce, that's like putting in a short sentence, a simple sentence. It's going to be a boring salad and a boring essay. Throw in some tomatoes and some sauce. Well, therefore you've got more. You've got compound sentences, complex sentences, and you've got a more interesting salad, a more interesting essay as well. So the more you put in and the more varied and complex it becomes, the more delicious your salad will be, and also the higher points you will get in your extended response, okay? But don't make it so complex that it's difficult to read. It still has to have clarity or clearness. Next, subject-verb agreement. Okay, this is basic stuff. Make sure the subject of your sentence matches, links in properly with the verb. Pronouns. Again, if you're not sure what those are, go back and check them out, okay? You need to use pronouns effectively. Spelling, capitalization, punctuation. That's self-explanatory. Commonly confused words, so maybe words that sound the same but are spelt differently. It's worth doing a little bit of a recheck on commonly confused words in English. There are many of them. Become familiar and don't make that mistake. Also wordiness, also known as redundancy. This is a very common trait of all writers, in fact. I don't think there are no writers in the world that are unaffected by wordiness, but better writers are able to edit their writing and cut out the clutter, cut out the extra fluff from the sentences. So they'll use strong verbs as opposed to weak verbs like is, are, was, were. Their verbs will be more packed with meaning, more descriptive. Their sentences will be shorter, as short as they can be, and snappy, straight to the point, and there'll be less filler within the sentence, okay? So wordiness is quite an advanced writing technique to look at. Maybe we'll do that in a later video. But anyway, if you do all these things, that's your 2 points, and that's trait 3, okay? So just to recap before we finish today, traits can help you massively if you want to raise your extended response score. You need to use this video and write down what each trait contains, and then focus your writing on these areas. Can you tick each of these at the end of your essay? Why not even make a check sheet? Make a checkbox sheet. So every time you write an essay, you can give it to a tutor, a teacher, or a friend who's good at writing, and ask them, does my essay do this? Tick. Does it do this? Tick. And then you can see where your weak areas are and where you need to improve. Okay, so I hope this video has been of some help to you. I think it's useful for sure. And if you have any questions, leave them in the comments below, and we're more than happy to answer. Okay, so I'm Teacher Mike from Phuket Pals. Have a good day. Thanks for watching. Thank you.